Okay, so how did you get on with that task? This is the room layout that I've gone with. Okay, just a simple kind of square room. Obviously change the UV layout for the sword there. And just a few items. These ones are blank on purpose because then when we put in some weapons later, when we actually download those, we can just put those into place on the walls, etc. Yeah, I think it looks fine. Okay, just make sure that all of those elements are obviously all in a subcategory called props, so you can switch those all on or off, and that you've also got your roof in place as well. Okay, so I think I'll just save this as a prefab. So just go into medieval house prefab, and I'll just drag in. I've called it blacksmith's house. Just drag that in, and notice that the pub bar and the blacksmith's house, I've saved the prefab without the roof on so that I know that those are buildings that you can enter. Now you may notice that in some areas you're getting this kind of leaking light coming through here. Well, this is a result of the light settings on the directional light. Okay, something called bias and normal bias. If you drag the bias right down to 0 and the normal bias all the way down to 0, notice how it will then get rid of that. Okay, so you'll get much cleaner shadows. Alright, so it's those settings basically that's doing that. Yeah, alright, so I think that's fine. And let's just see what this looks like then if we bring a character in. Now you may notice that some of the lighting has changed a little bit because of that normal bias. So as you bring it up, you see what's happening there with the lighting. So it's just a case of experimenting with what looks good, maybe also with the bias as well. So I might actually bring the bias up to about 0.1 and the normal bias right down to 0, and that seems to do the trick. Alright, that's pretty good without getting any of that weird banding that I just saw. Cartoon heroes, character, and let's bring in a female character. Let's say female C. Just bring this in, see what the character looks like stood on the table. Make sure I'm on object mode. Yep, so you can see in terms of like the size of the character's about the right size for these props. Yeah, alright, so I think that all looks fine. And obviously the character should be about the right size to be able to fit through the doors. So a lot of these have been made in connection with each other using standard measurements, so everything should work nicely together. And as you can see, the style of the character kind of fits in with the style of everything else. That's very important. When you're using assets, try and find ones that complement each other's styles. You don't want to find assets that look completely different to each other all in the same game. It's kind of a dead giveaway that they're kind of free assets. You want to be careful what you select and that fits into the style. Okay, yeah, so the character fits in there, everything's looking good. So what we're going to do in the next video is make a start on creating a terrain and actually laying out our first level.